It may be a lockout, but it seems it's the same old story. This time, it's Trevor Story. And Brett, you may like this. It's actually a name saying it. It's John Heyman saying that the Astros had interest in Trevor Story. So, but of course, we're going to have to wait until after the lockout. And Joe Espada, didn't I say this? The bad thing about re-signing Dusty Baker is a lot of teams are becoming after Joe Espada. And what did Lance McCullers say before the Texans games? We'll talk about this and more on today's Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are the Locked Out Astros podcast, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked Out Astros podcast. I can't do it like the other guys can do it. But guys, we are excited to be talking about the Astros even throughout this whole locked out season. And Brett, where can they find you on Twitter?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. And we are Locked Out Astros, your team every day.
And you can find me at Eric Talk Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. Now I can't even say it the right way. So, guys, we got a lot to talk about. And thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, keep on subscribing to us, keep on liking us, and keep on listening to us on the way to work, on the way home from work, while you're supposed to be working. You know what they say, good workers are hard to find. Go ahead and just hide underneath your desk and listen to Locked On Astros podcast. That's what you need to do. So,
or just put it on the loudspeaker system and let everybody listen to it in the office. Why not get the boss involved? Hey, talk to him about a local sponsorship with Locked On Astros.
Yeah, something like that. So let's go and start off with something that we wanted to do yesterday, but Rob Manfred, like he normally does, he just took over the whole podcast yesterday. So let's go and talk about what McCullers said before the Texans game on Sunday.
Really into Houston and supporting Houston. So what's it like for you to be here and do this today?
No, it's very cool. I'm honored to be here. It's very fun. I know some of my buddies in the past have been able to be the home field captain. So when they called me up, I said absolutely. I'm very happy and excited to be here, represent the Astros and the city of Houston. Even though I'm not an Astro currently, I'm not really sure.
How are you feeling on that note?
Yeah, this is something that has happened in the past. We don't always come to CBA agreements right away. We haven't been locked out in a while, but we've had extensions and things in the past, and we just as a union, we stay consistent. We want to negotiate, want to come to a fair and a reasonable CBA that is all encompassing the players, the fans, the teams, and hopefully we can do that.
How's your arm feeling, and do you have any indication you might grow again?
Yeah, it's getting a lot better. I had an MRI about a week and a half ago, and everything looked really good. The forearm injury is almost completely healed, and my surgeon out in LA, Dr. Elatrosh, did my Tommy John, said my graft looks good as well, which is all positive news. So everything continues to head in the right direction with rehab. I should start throwing in about a month.
How about Justin Verlander rejoining the team?
Yeah, it's. I was saying out there in the radio broadcast that anytime you can add a Hall of Famer back to your team, to the rotation, it's massive for us, and we're very familiar with Justin. He's been here, he's done a lot of great things in this uniform, so we look forward to continuing those. And I think hopefully when the lockout does end, his deal will become official, and we look forward to trying to make a World Series run with him.
Have you spoken with him?
I have. Yeah, I talked to him actually.
What was his attitude like?
I talked to him before. He actually threw that bullpen for all the teams, and we just called. We were talking about the season, and he congratulated me on my year and our year as a whole. And I wished him the best of luck in his bullpen. I know how nerve-wracking that is. Coming back from TJ and really starting to let it loose again for the first time, and to add on top of that, he had all these teams evaluating him. So in true Justin fashion, I heard he was still at 97, so I texted him congratulating him on that. And also when we signed, we're very happy here. When they came to a verbal agreement, we're very happy he's back.
Does the lockout change your worked, or does it change anything?
Yeah, quite a bit. I've been living in Houston for quite a number of years now, and the field and has been where I've always trained and rehabbed. I'm very close with Jeremiah Randall, our head athletic trainer, and I'm very close with the guys on our strength staff as well. So not being able to go to the field, not being able to rehab and train with those guys is going to be an adjustment, but it's one that we'll have to deal with.
How do you feel about where the Astros are right now? Given the uncertainty, Carlos, some of the things that they have done in the offseason.
Yeah, we're gonna be a competitive team in our division. Our division's loading up a little bit. You got Seattle making runs, Angels, the Rangers as well. So, Oakland wasn't going to make moves apparently, but they haven't. They've retained their guys so far, and they have a heck of a ball club. So we have our work cut out for us, and I think we have a few more pieces we need to add, and I think we'll do that if and when this lockout is over.
How did you prepare for possibly the lockout? What did you do to get ready for it?
Well, I didn't have a lot of time. We played into November again, and we locked out last week. So I was at the field a little bit, speaking with the people I mentioned before, and we tried to come up with some type of plan and plays. Try to find some physical therapists here in Houston and back home in Tampa, Florida, where I'm from, when we go for the holidays and things like that, and just try to prepare the best we can. And that's all you can do. So I don't want this to be something that throws off possibly my health for spring training and beyond, but that's the situation we're in, so we're doing what we can.
Have you got the chance to talk to any of the Texas players?
Alrighty, so that was part of what Lance McCullers had to say. What was your biggest takeaway from what was said?
Well, he didn't say much about the CBA other than he wants a fair deal. That the players want a fair deal. Basically, you can read between the lines on that, but he wasn't going to go into much detail. I loved hearing the JV bit, knowing that Lance McCullers is really the ace of this ball club, no matter if JV is there or not, and that 15 that $85 million deal, 5-year, $85 million deal that they gave Lance says that, and he's glad to have Justin Verlander back. It is interesting.
I think it's the fact that a lot of people are making a big deal about it not being official, and what Lance
Right.
McCullers is saying here, that we know that it's just a verbal agreement right now, but we're not worried about it being a
Right.
verbal agreement.
No, yeah, and that's what I was saying, that he doesn't seem worried at all that he hasn't. People like to read like into things that aren't there, and that's one of the negative aspects of social media, where everybody's a professional, everybody has an opinion. But I think another thing that he talked about that I think is very important for us to focus on is, remember, we talked this last year how 2020 affected players as far as like injury wise because of the shortened season and out of
Right.
routine. Well, I'm wondering what kind of negative impact this lockout is going to have on injured players that are rehabbing, because at the end of the day, yes, they are players. They do have millions of dollars. But when the team has a certain regimen, when the team has a certain formula that they use to get their players in shape, it's very well researched. And at the end of the day, the player's most optimal returning shape is when they're with the team physicians, the team strength and conditioning guys,
Like you
working
said,
those
Jeremiah
programs.
Randall. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just not the same when it's not your guy. This is what I'm wondering, Eric. Can Jeremiah Randall just send someone the workout program he's supposed to be doing? I mean, what's wrong with that? He can't share that
It's
information.
no.
Is it private information? That doesn't make any sense.
It's not that. It's just technically like McCullers started. He's like, I think I'm with the Astros. Technically, it's kind of like they're not under contract. I mean, they are under contract, but they're not technically allowed to work together. That's the problem with this. Like,
Okay.
McCullers can't even go to Minute Maid Park to throw the ball around. He can't go to the gym in Minute Maid Park. They're not under contract. Like, if McCullers goes and hurts himself at the gym, there's no technically insurance right now. I mean,
Oh, I see.
yes,
Okay.
that type
Right.
of thing.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
There's no protection right now. And so my next thing is like, what does he think about Carlos Correa? And that kind of brings up our next topic. So we'll talk about that in a second. I wonder what he was saying that the Astros you can still bet on the Astros. And what about the betonline.ag?
So BetOnline here has you covered all season long. More odds, props, and lines than ever before. And football season continues to march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all sports action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code Locked On to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
All right. Now you can't watch the Astros. You can't watch the Rockets. You can't watch. Well, I guess you can watch the Texans, but do you want to watch the Texans? So unless you have DirecTV. So tell us a little bit about DirecTV.
So does this sound familiar? You got one device that helps you catch the game live, another lets you stream your favorite show and watching sports highlights on your phone. And you got your neighbor's best friends to log in for the good stuff. Well, there's a simple way to get rid of that to get all your entertainment you love in one place without the hassle by getting your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV on-demand favorites together like never before. There's no annual contract. There's no juggling remotes. There's no need to basically buy any more devices ever again. And what is so cool about this is you get rid of the clutter, you get rid of the confusion with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
Okay, so we're going to listen to part of the rest of his interview, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to next topic. So here's some more of Lance McCullers. And by the way, this is courtesy of Cody over at the Locked On Texas podcast. So he actually was there at the press conference, and he was the one that sent this to me.
And in the game, and just a close friend in general. Our families are very close, and I think I'm actually going to head over to his house after today. But whatever's best for him and his family, the situation they find them in. I've been through this with other guys I've been friends with, Dallas, Springer, Charlie Morton, things of that nature, Garrett Cole. So these guys have to put their families first, and wherever they end up, I hope they're happy, and I hope it's here. He's not signed anywhere else yet, so we still got a shot.
Where'd your friendship with Coach begin?
I just ran into him actually one day walking in our neighborhood, and we just kind of started talking, and we just been in touch ever since. That was probably about 2 years ago now, when we first got traded over.
Lance, there's been a lot of rhetoric from both sides going back to the Lakers negotiations. If they were legitimate negotiations last week, I wasn't in there. But how close are you to that, and how optimistic are you that spring training will start on time and they'll get the thing done?
I think we're hopeful that spring will be on time. I think our game is in a situation where we want to be in spring training, want the season to start on time. We had to play a short season because of COVID, and I think COVID threw a little bit of a wrench in the negotiations, because typically about a year or so out we'll start those preliminary talks, and unfortunately we just are not seeing eye to eye right now on various topics, and the owners, the MLB, have decided to lock the players out. I think it was kind of a little of a drastic step. There's been plenty of extensions signed in the past. There's been plenty of times where we continue, our negotiations for weeks and sometimes even months before we come to a deal. But that's the situation we're in. It's what they decided. And like I said, we remain committed to trying to come to a fair CBA, and we want to actively negotiate. But unfortunately, right now, their side is not up for it.
Lance, I know it's been kind of tough for you to watch the Texans.
Alrighty, so just kind of listening to what he said. The first thing, it was cut off, but he was talking about Carlos Correa. What do you think about his chances of Carlos Correa returning? So he said, well, he hasn't signed anywhere right now, so there's still a chance, and so there's still a chance. So, but he's going to do what's best for his family. And he said he's seen many players leave. He's seen Dallas Keuchel, Charlie Morton, and he's seen many friends leave over the years. George Springer. Yeah. So, but that kind of, and he also talks some more about spring training. Does he think that spring training would be affected? And I kind of wanted to go ahead and let that play a little bit too. But I do want to go ahead and lead that into our next topic, where Jon Heyman came out today, and he went on the Odyssey, a podcast called The Big Time Baseball. And he said that there are 3 teams that are really interested in Trevor Story. And one of them is the Red Sox. The Red Sox are really interested. We heard that the Red Sox possibly interested in Carlos Correa. And I think there's a feeling that Xander Bogaerts may be leaving in a couple years or something like that. So this is what he said. Story, I've heard 3 teams: Seattle, Houston, and Boston. So it'd be interesting to see with Boston. Obviously, he's got he could start at second base potentially, and we'll see where he goes on from there. So that's something that we can see. I think that the Astros are a little tight with money. They may only have like 21 million available under the current CBT, but we don't know what the CBT after they make their agreement. It could go up, it could go down. Who knows what really happens? Jim Crane could just say, you know what, screw it. Let's go ahead and go over this year, and then next year it may not be an issue because Michael Brantley comes off the books next year.
So here's the deal: Xander Bogaerts is under contract till 2026 at $20 million each. I don't think he's.
Does he have a buyout though?
I don't know. I really doubt that he's going anywhere. He has a player opt out after 2022, but that's a player opt out. I mean, the bottom line is
that's a player opt out. So they're afraid that he's like, look, I'm coming off one of my best seasons, and if I have a good season in 2022, he's probably going to go out there seeing what Lindor made, depending on what Correa makes. He saw what Seager made. Wouldn't you want to opt out?
I mean, I don't know. It all depends on how things shake out, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to try to keep him. I mean, you could talk him into staying around and moving him over to second base and putting Carlos at short, and then you would have Dahlback at first. You would have.
We're talking about Story, not Correa right now. We're talking about Story at the moment.
Oh, you're talking about Story. I'm sorry, Story going to the Red Sox. Okay,
but also we're talking about the fact that he could potentially come to Houston.
Okay, so yeah, so Trevor Story, I think you could realistically have Story and Bogaerts in the same infield. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't try to sell that to Bogaerts. I mean, you're still making 20 million a year. I don't know that Bogaerts is going to get more than 20 million, Eric. I really don't. Maybe he gets 25.
That's extra $5 million a year, Brett.
I know, but right now you don't even know where this whole thing's going. You don't know if they're going to lower the threshold or raise it or what's going on. I'm assuming they're going to lower it, so that's going to put teams over that ceiling a lot quicker. And so, but at the end of the day, in 22, I don't know, and I don't have time to look at it, but who's out there that's going to have, who's going to need a shortstop?
He would be the best shortstop if he opts out after 2022. He would probably be the best shortstop available.
No, right, I understand that. Yeah, no, yeah, I just think that being in Boston and seeing what they have right now, seeing what they have coming up. I believe they just signed a Cuban player. I don't know how old or young he is, but he's supposed to be a pretty big prospect. I have no idea. I don't really know that much about the Red Sox farm system, but yeah, I mean, if he's got a player option, then maybe you look at signing Story. Eric, I just don't see the Astros, if they're not going to pay Correa again. I don't know why they're going to pay Story or why they're going to pay anybody else, unless they just get a really good deal on Story. They're not. Here's the thing. If Story wants more than 5 years, he's not getting it, because Carlos wants more than 5 years, and it looks like right now the Astros aren't getting it. And I know some people are saying the Astros are still in play, and I get that. But if Carlos Correa wants 10 years, the Astros are absolutely not in play. They are not going to sign a 10-year deal for what he wants.
Well, apparently June Lee reported Monday that Bogaerts plans on opting out which will make him a free agent
Oh,
after
he
20.
does plan on opting out.
Yes.
Okay, see, I wasn't aware of that. So, okay, that's information that would have been helpful yesterday. No, I'm joking. Sorry to quote Wedding Singer.
Yeah. So, but he does hope to remain in Boston. So he does hope to remain in Boston, but he
Mm.
wants to make a little bit more money. And we talked about this before. He signed a team-friendly deal to stay in Boston. Maybe he signed it too young, and now he's looking at all these shortstops making all this money. He's like, what about me? So
I'm wondering if at the time it was a little bit more than what people thought Xander Bogaerts was worth, and then he just kind of proved his worth. I mean, Xander Bogaerts is a very good baseball player, and I know coming up as a prospect, as a rookie, he was there were a lot of eyes on him, a lot of scouts on him. But I don't. I remember when when he got that money, and then when Carlos Correa got offered essentially the same contract, someone's like, "Oh, Carlos Correa got offered Xander Bogaerts money," and I think that insulted Correa a little bit.
right,
But Trevor's story, it's a mystery because I've seen him tied with all these teams, but we haven't really heard Trevor's story talk about it. But then again, I guess you really don't hear the players say much
right.
about it. It's more the fodder between the media and who are the mouthpieces for these agents, who are the mouthpieces for these clubs, because certain reporters kind of throw bones out there for certain clubs, for certain agents. They
Right.
are somewhat of messenger boys for these big time athletes.
So you have to wonder is how much the Astros would pay. I know that Trevor Story's prediction by MLB Trade Rumors was 6 years, 126 million. Would the Astros go that? I think I think they would. What is that per year? That's easy. That's 21 million a year. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
that's something they could do.
so the big question is
Is years.
where do they have him? Like, what is his projectability? And I don't know what it is. What does the Astros analytics department say about how Trevor Story is going to project at Minute Maid Park? And if they have him favorably projecting in an upward trajectory, trending upward in home runs and
Right.
RBIs, I think his glove is fine. His glove matches Correa's glove in the zone.
He's
Out
got
of the
more speed.
zone, right? Well, out of the
I don't
zone.
think his defense is as good, but
No,
it's
no,
it's
no,
it's yeah,
no. And that's what I'm saying. In the zone, his glove compares to Correa. Outside of the shortstop zone, obviously Correa is better. So at the end of the day, where do the Astros analytics people have him projected? If you play, 81 games at Minute Maid Park, where do they project him being? And if they project him being an asset as an offensive player, then you've got the hitting coaches, you've got the hitting programs, you've got the lineup around him to pitch to this guy, because if
right.
you don't pitch to Trevor, you got to pitch to Jordan, you got to pitch to Kyle, you got to pitch to all these, Bregman, and dude, Bregman is like making statements. He's like, I'm gonna be back. Like, you jokers, you've been hating on me, and I'm coming back stronger than ever. And so that's kind of exciting side note too that we got to tackle at some point.
Yeah, so I know that looking at his OPS plus, that's a big telling about a player, and he's coming off his second worst OPS plus season. His first worst was 2017, where he had 84 uh, OPS plus. That was way below league average, and hit 2021, he was at 103. But all the other seasons, his rookie season, 122, 2018, 127, 2019, 120, 2020. 120. So he's normally there. He just had a down season. And like I've said it before on the podcast, he thought he was going to be traded last year. He was on a sorry team.
Yeah,
He
I
thought he's going to be
think,
traded. And like,
yeah.
what's your purpose for playing hard every day if you're like, oh, I thought I was supposed to be going to contender, but I'm still here. Why am I
Well,
still
it's
here?
right. In 162 games is already a grind, and we know that. And no matter whether you're in your 20s or 30s as a Major League Baseball player, or some players' cases in their 40s, at the end of the day, the game is a mental game, and
Yeah.
and I think that's an excellent point you make. Those things got to play into your psyche. Yeah, he's been in Colorado. Yeah, it's his home. Yeah, he's like the lone standing Rocky superstar that has not been moved, or that wasn't on the move, or thought he was going to be. So that's got to be hard to not be like, to be dialed in every day, to not check out mentally every once in a while. Like, well, gosh, I heard this rumor that I'm going to be traded and I'm still here. Nolan's gone. I mean, they knew Jonathan Gray was kind of, being shopped around and all this stuff. So the Rockies they've always kind of been in a weird spot, Eric. Like it's like they want to contend, but every time they start contending and getting really good, they kind of like get rid of people. And
Yeah.
I don't understand the organization itself.
I would give you a couple good things about him. In 2020, he ranked first in the NL with only 10 errors at first
Okay.
base, at shortstop.
You're like at first base.
Whatever. And also, he does have 2 Silver Sluggers in 2018 and 2019 at shortstop.
And see,
So
he may be able to find it. Like I said,
2-time All-Star. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what are the projections of him at Minute Maid Park? I think it's a Trevor Story friendly park. Now, I don't have a spray chart in front of me. I have no facts to really back that up, but that's what I'm saying. And maybe we look at that. Maybe once this whole CBA lockout is done, or if we hear more stuff to add to the story, we can go look at a spray chart. Eric, talking about spray charts, have you seen Carlos Correa's spray chart for the postseason?
No.
It's unbelievable. If y'all want to be impressed, go look at Carlos Correa's spray chart for his postseason career. It is absolutely insane. And
I can tell you what Trevor Story's career batting average is at Minute Park. You want to hear?
What is it? Yeah, I want to know.
It's 267. His OPS is 933 with 3 home runs, 4 RBIs in 8 games. So he has 1 double, 8 hits, 5 runs. He has 9 strikeouts and a TOPS of 113. So total base is 18. So he has done pretty well at Minute Park. Is that a big sample size to say, yeah, let's sign him? No. But it is something to say, kind of look at. Just remember, away from Coors Field, we've talked about it before. He's been very kind of mediocre. So it's like 100 points different. I don't have it in front of me. Oh, here it is. So his batting average at home is 303. His batting average on the road is 241. His OPS at home, 972. His OPS on the road is 752. That's a big difference. His TOPS plus at home is 124. His TOPS plus on the road is, that's total, I think, is 76 on the road. So it's just like, so it is what it is, but you are paying for that road thing. So I do want to move away from Trevor Story because we could talk hours for Trevor Story, but Joe Espada, he is being noticed. You know how in your LinkedIn profile you get somebody's noticing you from time to time? Well, somebody's noticing Joe Espada, and that is the Mets and apparently the A's. And I don't think they're going to be the only ones that are going to be looking at him. So apparently that the Mets are seriously looking at Joe Espada, and they've got formal permission to interview him. And I think the A's also have him on the list to be interviewed as well for their managing position.
Yeah, that Oakland A's spot makes me sick to my stomach. I would hate to see Joe Espada with the Oakland A's. Now, obviously, would love it because he's a great guy. He's been with the team, but good Lord, what? Come on, like could the baseball gods have any more sense of humor than to put him in Oakland, California? That would be terrible. Actually, Las Vegas, probably because that's where they'll be in a few years. So I guess I don't mind then if it's the Las Vegas A's. But the New York Mets, I mean, it makes sense for the New York Mets. You know, the New York Mets had that hiring of Carlos Beltran. Then everything came out about the scandal, and then he was gone. And that was a huge hire for them. And Steve Cohen is an absolute mad scientist in the lab of baseball and creating a juggernaut of a team. And Joe Espada, I think, fits perfectly in New York because he is huge with the Latin players. He's got the camaraderie with the players. He's got the experience. He's got the championship pedigree. I mean, this guy's been to 5 straight ALCSs, and he's been the bench coach. He's been there. He's seen it all. He's been there from Hinch to Baker, and he's seen every aspect of the game. And so the Mets would be, I think, drunken fools not to make him a solid offer. Like you said, we had mentioned this before. That was the only big negative drawback of re-signing Dusty Baker. Nothing against Dusty Baker, but with that being said, we knew that would send Espada into the manager market stratosphere, which I would love for Dusty Baker to coach one more year, say your goodbyes, win the 2022 World Series. Joe Espada slots in, and he goes on another championship run for the next 3 years, at least through 2025. But we can't have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, so apparently he has worked with Billy Epler from when they were both with the Yankees before. So he is a serious contender for the Mets. And also, Ken Rosenthal has said that Mark Kotze and Will Venable, Joe Espada, Marcus Jensen, and Darren Bush are all candidates for the A's. So these are all the different people that can interview the A's. So any different opening, these are the names that you're going to be hearing. But the Mets are looking for a few good men, and unfortunately, Espada is one of those few good men, and we don't want him on that wall. We want him on our wall, and that's the problem with Dusty Baker. And who knows if the Astros do win the World Series in 2022? Are you really taking Dusty Baker off that wall? He just won you a World Series. Why would you fire him after? Hey, Dusty,
You
great
wouldn't fire
job
him, but
winning the World Series. You're fired. You're fired.
didn't he just sign a 1-year contract?
Yeah, but still,
You're not
yeah,
firing him. You're
I
just
know
not
what you
re-signing
mean.
him.
I know what you mean, but
If you got Joe Espada, I mean,
I know what you mean, but yeah.
So here's the thing. Steve Cohen, like I said, he could buy the Yankees today if he wanted to. I mean, that's how rich this guy is. That's how determined this guy is. I'm not going to be upset at Joe Espada wherever he goes because he deserves a shot. The Mets, though, do make the most sense to me because I think they're automatically a competitor next year. I think with their signings, they're competitors next year. And what guy better to bring? I mean, who else is out there? Buck Showalter? Surely you're not going to sign Buck Showalter over Joe Espada. Surely not. But I guess baseball has done crazier things. I just think Steve Cohen's a really smart owner. And what do you think? I think the chances are more than 50% that he goes to the Mets because I mean, why wouldn't you offer him something substantial? And if you were Espada, why wouldn't you say, "Let's go"?
Yeah, I mean, I know he gets his chance with the Astros eventually. I mean, Baker can't manage forever. I mean, all good stories must come to an end, like this podcast. And guys, we hope you enjoy this podcast. If you like this podcast, keep on making sure you make the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Keep on subscribing, keep on giving us a like, and go ahead and keep on listening to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Keep on listening to Locked On Astros podcast. And we'll be back tomorrow with another podcast. Go Stros. Let's end this lockout and let's get some baseball talk going because I missed the winter meetings. And guys, I do have some breaking news. Even though the Rule 5 draft is not going to be here, the the minor league Rule 5 draft will be here on I think
Wow,
Wednesday. So
minor league placeholders, nothing more
some
exciting.
juicy information to talk about. Ha 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 ha. On the next Locked On Astros podcast. Oh, and 2 Locked On Astros podcasts. We'll talk to you later.